Hi, MaryAnn. And you did it perfectly because having them smaller, easier to download was great and let me sort of focus in on little chunks. So I really appreciate that. It's always a challenge with video because I don't have the chance to see, a student as clearly, maybe some of the focus students, but we still can take a look at your intent and your interaction, and the small group work was a great way to do it. Sorry, I'm scrolling. So here are my observation notes, and basically you would know all this because you're looking at a video rather than me sitting in your classroom as normally would happen. And so I think we want to look at a couple different things, or whatever things you'd like to look at, quite frankly. And so I'm curious what you think about student progress to date, about their abilities to talk about the processes, the sequences of what they're doing. It was really interesting to hear Alexander speak. He seemed, from my point of view, not knowing him, pretty verbal about what he was trying to do and his thinking, and he wasn't afraid to say, "Oh, I made a mistake," sort of. And Charles, I think that was the name, Charles, I hope that was it, said, "Oh, look, I made a mistake." And so it sounds like there's some openness to really looking at that process. I'm trying to look back on mine as to who it was. I think it was Charles that said, "I think I misunderstand arithmetic and geometric." Of course, now I can't find it. I apologize. A part of your inquiry is about technology, and I know, or I believe, that you were using technology primarily in this instance for student feedback. The form, I think, that you have them fill out in terms of their reflection and what they're thinking about their learning would be really interesting to see what they come away with that's nonverbal. I really like the idea that you ask them to self-rate their understanding before knowing their score, so that they could really, hopefully, think about what it is they've been doing. In terms of your whole class discussion, I know you're working very hard on that, and I don't know what role the camera plays. And that would be interesting. It could be that the students are more verbal when there's not a camera in the room. And that's something, that you can see and know and be able to look at. If they are, then you might be able to say, they really are becoming more able to verbalize or ask questions or participate verbally in whole class. Or maybe not. Maybe the video did not play a role. But sometimes I know it does. So the purpose of this observation is, part of it is me seeing, and if we were together, we would have a great discussion. I'd know your students better, so I'm not making apologies, but, I think as we go through next year, we'll be able to really take a look at it and see how we can make our communication and feedback as effective as you're trying to help your students make the feedback. Your writing is amazing. It is so clear and detailed and thoughtful and deep. It is absolutely a pleasure to read. And the ideas that you put, sorry, I know it's probably hard on the eyes scrolling, what considerations should be planned for. Your ideas that you have here are so student-centered, and the idea about providing sentence starters and open responses and really think about their understanding and helping to move them forward in that direction, because it seems like it is a challenge for all students. And it's such, as we know, it is such a skill that can benefit them. At this point, I need to ask you for one specific piece of help, and that's on your focus student number 3. We said Donna for Focus Student 1, Alexander, that was a pleasure to hear that conversation. Focus Student 2, and I'm just not sure, I left a comment, who Focus Student 3 should be. It could be, as I mentioned before, someone there was speaking, but I didn't necessarily know who it was. So if you can help me out, maybe someone who spoke there that could, that either is Olivia and I missed that, or it's someone that you can use as an alternate to Olivia. So where we go from here, this was a chance for you to really sort of put in writing what you think was going on. You want to analyze the student work from this overall. Where do they stand right now in terms of their abilities? So you actually want to review the work and have information here on this page about each student. So we really want to look at their work specifically and say, what do I learn from this? That could be their form reflection. It could be the conversation as you know it, but it's where you stop and say, let me look specifically at all students' work and then individual student work. The last piece is the summative assessment, which should be very close to maybe not exactly what you used before, but asking the same types of questions, the same types of activities, so you have, as we would say, apples and apples, or oranges and oranges, but not something very different for the entry level than you have for the summative. And you explained that very well in your essential components, so I have complete faith in you. So when you get a chance, if you could respond to that question for me, and I'll get that Focus Student 3 information in there. Upload actual student work whenever you're ready, and the analysis of that, and then the summative assessment. And I'm very excited to see how that comes out. And even if it turns out that they do not move over in the categories of understanding, it doesn't mean they didn't learn something. It doesn't mean it wasn't valuable. It simply means that by the measurement tool we're using, we don't necessarily see that happening in this period of time. So thank you. I look forward to hearing from you. We have a couple of weeks to finish this up. I have not looked yet to see, quite frankly, if you finished the discussions that you needed to. I'll try to go in and take a look at that. I was just focused on this and completing this part. So thank you, MaryAnn. I hope things are going better. It was a great pleasure to see your class. Thank you so much.